Welcome back to the channel. This is the Action Figure Grader. Today we're going to take a look at the vintage collection. Some interesting sales here. A lot of graded items actually sold. Some of them for at or below what they go for ungraded. So pretty crazy prices. Two different Republic gunships sold. A graded N-1 Starfighter sold. And then I have the Mouse Droid and Salacious Crumb that's sold in a pair from a trusted seller that I bought from in the past. Pretty wild items all the way around in today's video. So I need to say thank you to a good friend of mine, early Patreon supporter, if not my very first, and that's Keith Guppy. He sent me a YouTube super for my what to buy video, I believe, last week. So thank you, Keith. I hope you're doing well, buddy. And I've got one of his items for sale at auction. It's a stunner, so tune in tomorrow and I'll cover it in my what to buy video for Friday. It's a beautiful item that he's got at auction, and I wanted to show that because it's a beauty, and certainly wish I had the money for it. I'll say that. So tune in tomorrow for that. All right, let's go ahead and take a look. I've got some ungraded kind of early TVC that I wanted to cover first before we dig into some of the other gems. This is VC64 Slave Leia. I always try to cover Slave Leia when another one sells. Two of them sold this week. This one was in pretty good shape overall. Not perfect. It had a little bit of edge wear on the bottom left-hand side and bottom right-hand side on the back of the card. It sold at $285. And then this one looked to be really clean. It included a sliding acrylic case. This is the Revenge of the Jedi with the paperwork inside, so it's missing the offer sticker on the front of the card, or it was removed. I don't know. But it was a beautiful unpunched example. $345 on that one. This one was a Revenge of the Jedi. Same issue. It had the paperwork inside, missing the prototype FET offer sticker. So I don't know if these people are peeling it off or what, but both of those were missing the offer sticker on the front. Next up, we've got two different Cathabas that sold with the red bandana. And for those of us in the U.S. who collect the vintage collection, you know that the red bandana version is a little bit harder to find. This one was the U.S. card that sold for $120 and I buy it now. And then Power Droid, which we've got some more of his items coming up, he had one as well. This one had the Darth Maul offer. Again, the U.S. card unpunched. That one sold for $130 plus shipping. Same seller also had Jango Fett. We've talked about Jango Fett at length and how it seems like the prices kind of bounce back up a little bit. $135 to $165 is kind of the going rate right now. This one sold at $150. And here was Lumat. And I found several different Lumat sales that vary between $110 and $160. This one was a beautiful unpunched U.S. card. No offer on this one, and that one sold at $150. So that's held up pretty well in the current environment. We had the Yak Face from the HasLab exclusive Katana Sail Barge. This was in pretty good condition overall, and that one sold at $240. The seller had two of those available. Both of them sold at $240. Card looked to be in really clean condition. It did have that kind of issue on the front of the card. You can see it right there by the warning label that this one is known for. It's just kind of an indentation or a scratch that happened on the front of that card, and this one did have that, so it was certainly shown in very clear detail. Maybe right here, you can see kind of the little half circle there that goes from the top all the way back down to the bottom through the Power of the Force logo. And this seller, Star Wars Galaxies, had two different mint in sealed box Republic gunships, the Toys R Us exclusive. We know how desirable this item is, mint in seal box. This one had some very light edge wear to the corners and the top there. You can kind of see some edge wear all the way around the top of it. Anyway, the seller listed two of these as available, and they both sold at $900. So the Republic gunship is one of those items in the vintage collection packaging that seems to continue to go up in price. Every time I spot another one that has sold on eBay, the price is higher and higher and higher. I feel like this time last year it was like $650, and then we saw some sell in the $700s. This one sold at $900. So pretty incredible to see how much that one has continued to go up in price. Next up, we've got an ungraded and a graded foil VC-19 Clone Commander Cody. So this one was ungraded. That one sold for $165 free shipping. And then this seller had a bunch. This was over in New Mexico. This seller had a bunch of graded, AFA graded mainly foil examples that he sold for really attractive prices. This one had an archival case. It was only an AFA 80 plus, so admittedly it's not the most mint thing in the world, but it's already graded, and that one sold at $150 plus $15 shipping. And again, if you compare, this one was free shipping $165. So that's a pretty good deal. That's a pretty good deal for a near mint condition, 80 plus grade archival case, given what they go for ungraded. Really, really nice deal there. He also had the foil Anakin Skywalker in an AFA 85. That one sold at $180. Again, that's about what they go for, if not sometimes above that, ungraded. So I thought that was a good deal. He had the Darth Sidious AFA 80 plus foil example again. That one sold for $130. Another really great deal. This seller must have just been deciding to kind of sell off some of his items for whatever reason. He had the Magna Guard in an AFA 85. Again, the foil cardback VC 18. $90 for that. I mean, that's, again, what it usually goes for, if not higher than that, ungraded. So this seller was offering some really good deals. And shout out to whoever it was on, I believe, Instagram, who alerted me to these items after the fact. He said, I wish I had seen these in time because I would have bought some of them. And I agree. I mean, I would have sent these out to my Patreon supporters in a Buy It Now alert if I had seen them. I just did not see them pop up for sale, and clearly they didn't stay on the market very long, since I usually do search for AFA graded Star Wars figures at least a couple times a day to try and find deals for my Patreon supporters, but I did not see those at all. Also had Obi-Wan Kenobi again on the foil card. That was an 85 plus grade as well for $160. So again, that's right in line with where these go for ungraded. And then General Grievous was an AFA 90. AFA 90 for $160. So, I just think that this seller was like, I'm done. I'm just going to get rid of all of them. And, maybe he had these from originally when he originally bought these way back in the day for $15 a piece or whatever. And he got them graded by AFA, and they came back with good scores. And he had a lot of money in terms of equity, so to speak, in these items. So he just decided to dump them at very, very fair, rock bottom fire sale prices. But that was a bargain of a deal for the foil General Grievous in a 90 grade from AFA. Wow. I've got some another really interesting sale. This was from Disruptor, who is a trusted seller on eBay. A friend of mine. He did not ask me to promote any of his items or anything. He just alerted me that this one did sell. This was an uncirculated 9.25 archival case for the Mandalorian N-1 Starfighter, and it sold for a big number, $800. I would imagine that's the highest or one of the highest graded examples on the population report. And now that AFA supposedly has brought back their population report, every time I've tried to use it, it still crashes. But do you think, and while you're leaving me a like in this video, maybe you could comment, do you think that bringing back the population reports will potentially increase the prices on those items that are 1 of 1 or 1 of 5 on the population report when people go to look up the certification numbers on the pop report and see that, hey, this uncirculated 9.25 N-1 Starfighter is 1 of 5 in an uncirculated 9.25 with none higher. So that might prompt some very high-end collectors who want the best of the best on the population report to buy it. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that, yeah, I think it could play a part, especially with vintage, loose graded vintage Kenner items. If you got an AFA 95 Darth Vader, for example, would that influence you to spend substantially more than you would on like an 85 plus or an 85, given what you now see the population report? I can't get it to work every time I try to do it with my Spanish Toxic Limbs boss, but I haven't tried in a few days, so maybe they got it back and working again. But I'd be curious to know your thoughts there. I mean, me personally, I'm not paying more, but I can see how some collectors would find that very desirable. Say, hey, guess what? I've got 1 of 1 AFA 95 Cloud Car Pilot, loose graded. And so I'd just be curious to know what your thoughts are on that. Next up, we've got the Prototype FET. This was a 9.0 grade, mail order exclusive. That one sold in an auction for $163.27. And here was an uncirculated 9.25 original issue VC 166 Mando. That one sold for $85. And again, this is supply and demand, right? While the Mandalorian is the very first, this is the very first Mandalorian figure on the Vintage Collection cardbacks, VC 166, it's it's not really going up in price because there's so many of them produced, right? Hasbro produced a lot of these. They had multiple production runs for these, and they reissued, they produced more and more of them because they wanted to keep up with demand. Well, now there's a big supply of high-graded examples, and they're not going to go for much more than what an ungraded one will go for, plus the cost to grade them, even in very high uncirculated 9.25 grade. So simple supply and demand economics on that one. Next up is the Walmart version of the carbonized Mandalorian. Again, 9.25 on that one. That one sold for $78. There's certainly a lot less of these than the original issue VC-166, but it's the carbonized. No one likes the carbonized, apparently, so it doesn't go up in price very much. That one sold for $78. A few others to round things out before we touch on the Mouse Droid and Salacious Crumb. This Quill was a 9.25 uncirculated grade. That one sold for $100. Pretty decent price on that, given that Quill is one that goes for about MSRP now, $15 ungraded. So that was a pretty significant premium relative to what they go for ungraded. Admiral Akbar, this was the reissue from 2021 in an uncirculated 9.0, and I was surprised by that final sales price. I'm just wondering if maybe people accidentally confused it for the TVC 1.0 version, the original release. I don't know. I think it's unlikely, given that the AFA label says very clearly 2021, but I was a little surprised that this one went so high in an auction at $147.50. I'm not dogging if you happen to be the person that bought that. I'm just saying that it just, usually with the reissues, they tend to go kind of $85 to $100 max, even in high grade like this from AFA. So interesting. But finally, going back to Power Droid, he had these for sale. Well, that is certainly something. That escalated quite quickly. This, obviously is from the SDCC Death Star box set. This is the Mouse Droid and Salacious Crumb together, both unpunched and in pretty much perfect condition based on what I could tell in the photos. And those sold together for $1,600. And we've documented some SDCC box sets that have sold for about this price, with everything. And this is just for the Mouse Droid and Salacious Crumb. They did sell for $1,600. A big number there, but, it is what it is. These are very, very desirable items. Be curious to see how Salacious Crumb holds up whenever that reissue hits. So I hope you enjoyed this look at recent sales for the vintage collection. Thank you, as always, for watching, and I'll be back soon.